Alright, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel again. This is kind of weird, back-to-back days with videos, but today we've got Mock Draft Monday, and it's a big one. 2-round mock draft, and first round we're going to go more of what I think is going to happen, or what could happen once we get to that April draft day. I believe it's April 26th, I want to say, or 24th. Maybe it's the 24th to the 26th. Regardless, first round is going to be more of what I think is going to happen, at least as of right now. And second round is going to be more, I think, highlighting players that I found intriguing at the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl this past week, and some guys that I think with their performances at those All-Star Bowls, along with the Combine, could really boost their draft stock. So let's just get right on into it, starting with the Tennessee Titans. It sounds like that we're kind of just getting to the point of this pick is, at least as of right now, going to be Cam Ward. Outside of that, I mean, they could go Travis Hunter, they could go Abdul Carter, but I do think Brian Callahan does want to get his guy before it's too late, to be honest. And after an abysmal season with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph, you have the number 1 overall pick. How many times are you going to have that? Not too often. So might as well go get your guy. If Cam Ward is that guy, hey, why not grab him? And that's what we're going to do here at pick number 1. And there has been some hype I've seen with Shedeur at number 1 because of the similar play style between him and Joe Burrow. A lot more pocket passer, touch, passing, quick passes, rhythm of the offense. So, and I understand that, but Cam Ward also has that upside that Shedeur doesn't quite have, at least as a prospect. But here at number 2, gonna be pretty easy. Unless you live under a rock, you probably didn't hear that Myles Garrett did put in a request for a trade. He wants out of Cleveland, so that makes this even easier. I've had Abdul Carter here a lot recently, and that almost just shores that right up. Even if he stays, I think you need to get someone across from Myles Garrett to just wreak havoc along the edges, and Abdul Carter can definitely do so. First year playing at the edge position full-time from off-ball linebacker the 2 years previous. Just unbelievable talent and super athletic off the edge, has unbelievable bend, still raw with pass rush moves and pass rush plans as far as that side of his game goes. But again, it was his first year playing off the edge full-time, and I think he ended with like 13 sacks or something ridiculous. Let's take a look here. Yeah, 13 sacks, 22.8% pass rush win rate. Ridiculous. And when you watched the Notre Dame, the Boise State game, like, you just saw the talent oozing out. And even the SMU game, like, he was in the backfield, it felt like more often than the running back and the quarterback. It was ridiculous. He is a phenomenal player. And as we move on, here to pick number 3, this one could get a little controversial, but I've seen a lot more guys, Daniel Jeremiah, Mel Kiper, like those types of guys with big influence and sources around the league. If the Giants don't get Cam Ward, then it's kind of like, who's the best player available? And to me, it's either Travis Hunter or Mason Graham. Like, kind of pick your poison. They really need an outside corner in New York, and Travis Hunter can be that. Phenomenal man cover corner. I think probably even a better zone coverage corner. When he's playing with instincts and driving on the football, he is unbelievable. I mean, obviously, one of the most athletic guys in this class. If you take out an Abdul Carter and some other dudes, it surely is. And he might be anyways with those guys in this class. I mean, just the talent, the athleticism is oozing out of him, like I said. And when he's playing with instincts on the defensive side of the ball, which I think is where he should primarily play, and then you mix him in at receiver here and there, if he still wants to do that, which I'm assuming he does because he said it multiple times. He wants to play on both sides of the football in the NFL. But I think at corner he can be that lockdown guy for you. Obviously, durability is going to be a question, but the talent is and has never been a question for Travis Hunter, goes here at 3 to the Giants. Mason Graham as well was definitely a guy here. I've been, if you follow me on Twitter, at Rossi, I believe Rossi YouTube is the tag now. My other account got banned, but that's, you guys don't care about that. I've been mocking Mason Graham recently, and I really like that fit with him and Dex next to each other. And then you got Kayvon and Brian Burns on the outside at the edges. I think that's a really fun fit as well. But here we go, Travis Hunter. Like I said, Giants need that lockdown corner. So at pick number 4, this was a tough one because best player available probably tells you that it's Mason Graham. But, man, Drake May needs something out there. I like what Kayshon Boutte put on tape this year. I think they have a good slot guy in Pop Douglas or Demario Douglas, whatever you want to call him. Kendrick Bourne's all right, but I think he is on his final year of his deal, and he also got injured. So get a guy in Tetairoa McMillan that can go up, get those 50-50 balls. He's not the most polished route runner, but he is really good after the catch, especially for his size. He should not be able to move like that. So, get Tetairoa McMillan for Drake May and start getting some offensive firepower up in New England. At pick number 5, this is pretty easy for me with how the board fell. We're going Mason Graham, and we're not going to really think about it for a second. Just best player available and at a position of need as well. He is a phenomenal pass rusher. He is a phenomenal run stuffer. The dude is a monster. He plays leverage so well. And like I said, he can get after the quarterback from the middle of your defense, and that'll help out guys on the outside with Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen, or Allen Hines. I forget. Is it Hines Allen? I think it's Hines Allen, who is a very respectable edge rusher himself and can get after the quarterback. But you put Mason Graham in the middle of that front four, it just makes everyone else's lives so much easier. So Jags go Mason Graham here at 5. Las Vegas Raiders. Giants didn't go Shedeur Sanders. Neither did the Browns. I'm just going to get the Las Vegas Raiders. Their quarterback, Shedeur, has been linked to the Raiders for I don't know how long now. And Tom Brady now has a connection with him, apparently. Has been working with him, talking with him. Apparently Brady really likes his game. Well, there you go. Brady's a minority owner. Apparently he's going to have some input on the draft and free agency. And if the Raiders end up in this position, I just don't see a way or another player that you would take in this position because you need that quarterback to be filled so badly. And, I mean, you could go Will Johnson. I guess I have gone Ashton Genty here in the past, but Pete Carroll there, he needs his quarterback as well. They could definitely go get a Sam Darnold, a Justin Fields in free agency, but obviously we're still a whole month and a bit away from free agency, so a lot's going to happen. Combine at the start of March as well, so we'll see what happens, and it'll obviously change a lot of what happens in these mock drafts. But on to pick number 7, the New York Jets. Another really easy one. Another Michigan guy. Will Johnson. DJ Reed, contract is up. Get another boundary corner across from Sauce Gardner. Make his life a little bit easier. And with Aaron Glenn as well back there, I think he could do wonders with a guy like Will Johnson. And I know there's been some concern with Will Johnson and his run defense. I'm not worried about that at all because he is just such a good man cover corner. He's had multiple pick sixes in his career. And I don't really see a way where he doesn't go in at least the top 15. I know some people have had him falling, but Will Johnson to me is a top 10 player. And if he didn't get hurt, maybe he would have answered some of those questions and really solidified himself as a top 10 player, which I think he is. Pick number 8, Carolina Panthers. I've been switching between these two edge rushers, well, I guess linebackers from Georgia. This time I'm going to go Mykel Williams, who is going to blow up the NFL Combine. I mean, he's 6'5", 260, 265? Just unbelievable size, has great length, The production is obviously the question with him. I believe he only had like 2.5, 3 sacks this year, and it's just been inconsistent. But he was also playing with a ankle injury, I believe, for most of the season. So I'm not gonna like harp on it too much. Show some toughness to him, and he's obviously got the talent. He's got the athletic ability. He's got the size to play the position. And I do think he probably will end up in the top 10, especially with his combine performance in about a month here, like I was saying just a moment ago with Will Johnson. But, yeah, Mykel Williams, the Panthers need something. I mean, you have Jadeveon Clowney there. He's not a long-term option. Derek Brown hopefully will come back from injury and be just fine. You need a guy that can get more pass rush outside of Derek Brown, and I think Mykel Williams could eventually be that guy. So that's where we go at 8. Pick number 9. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Is going to be another SEC edge rusher. Now this one might be a little bit weird, but I am going to go James Pierce Jr. I just think with what the Saints have wanted to do, at least like front office wise, when they're picking guys like this, it's a lot of potential based. I mean, you think of Peyton Turner, you think of, I believe they took Zach Bond as well. Like, they take some guys really early that you kind of question, but have the talent, have the athletic ability. None of them, though, have the athletic ability and explosive first step that James Pierce has. He is phenomenal off the edge. Run game is going to be a little bit of a question. He'll have to clean that up. He'll have to get more consistent as a pass rusher as well, even though his pass rush win rate was almost 23% anyways. It's more of getting to the quarterback. I want to see those QB hits. Obviously, 8 sacks is still pretty good. But I really like James Pierce. I have him as a top 10 to 12 player on my big board. I know Daniel Jeremiah and some other guys have him pushed down into that 20 into 30 area, and that is because of the inconsistency of his game. He started this season off super, super slow and then started to pick it up again later on into the season and showed why he was talked about as even the number 1 overall draft pick last year when everyone was doing the way too early mock drafts. He was in that top 1, 2, 3 picks for this year. Still here at 9 for me, and I think could really bode well for the Saints. They need some more talent on that defensive line. You have Granderson. Cam Jordan's not getting any younger, though. I like Brian Brzee. Get a guy like James Pierce. Just bring some explosiveness and kind of make the quarterback step up into guys like Brzee and Jordan, and I think it could really help getting your defense off the field. Pick number 10 for the Chicago Bears, and I think everyone kind of knows where I'm going with this because it has been mocked honestly too many times, but we are going to go Will Campbell. I think he could slide into guard. I think he could also still play out at tackle, and I think he would be a better option out at tackle than what the Bears have right now. So Bears trying to shore up that offensive line in front of Caleb Williams, and maybe for a running back later on in the draft. We will get to that when we get to it in the second round for Ben Johnson's new Bears team. Pick number 11, San Francisco 49ers. I went with another offensive tackle, and it is going to be a guy that has started to gain a lot of traction here recently, someone who probably is going to slide in to guard at the NFL level, but the Niners need that. I do think Armand Membu, though, could still play out at tackle at the NFL level. It's really going to be what they think of his height, but he still has great length for the position, and I think could have a chance to stick out at tackle, but we'll see. You do obviously need a contingency plan for what life is after Trent Williams, or even if he goes down with an injury, which has happened the last couple years on a rather consistent basis, unfortunately. So Niners get Armand Membu. Maybe he slides into guard, and I think he would be probably their best guard off rip. I mean, Aaron Banks isn't anything special, and I think is also a free agent. So maybe replace him with Membu, day 1 starter. And he's, like I said, he's gained a lot of traction here recently. I remember Daniel Jeremiah had him, I believe, at the Bears at 10 in his mock draft. So we have him at 11 here to the Bay Area. Pick number 12, I mean, it's Ashton Jeanty. It's going to be Ashton Jeanty until further notice, really. So not much more to say about that. His contact balance is unreal. We know who Jeanty is. Just an unbelievable runner of the football. Pick 13, Miami Dolphins. We're going to go Josh Simmons here and protect Tua Tagovailoa. I know Kelvin Banks is there as well. Both these guys obviously had their injury problems and inconsistencies, but Josh Simmons, when he was healthy this year, I think could have been, if he stayed healthy, I should say, could have been the number one tackle off the board and probably would have been going here at 4 or even 2 to the Browns or Patriots. I mean, you could even have said he could have gone number 1. He was playing so well on the left side of that Ohio State offensive line before he got injured against Oregon. Really, really unfortunate. I think it was was it a patella? It might have been patella tendon injury. It was either that or ACL. I don't remember, but I know it was something with the knee, so we'll have to see what happens when he comes back. But it sounds like he should be ready by week 1 of his rookie season, at least from what I have heard. And the talent is there for Josh Simmons. So is the pass blocking grade, 82.0, 82.2 true pass set. So, I mean, it was just unfortunate. He's got the size, the athletic ability, the length to be a really good tackle at the NFL level. It's just going to be how can he bounce back from that knee injury. And I think he's a player that you can take a chance on. And obviously the physicals at the combine, his pro day, all the interviews is going to really determine where he goes in this draft. But for right now, we have him at 13 to the Dolphins. Pick number 14, everyone's been going Tyler Warren, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. We're going to go with one of those Senior Bowl standouts in Mike Green. He's another really athletic guy, bendy off the edge. I think him across from Laiatu Latu could be really, really sexy for this Colts defense who needs more pass rush and needs to help out their secondary. I know Tyler Warren has been mocked here, and yes, that's an exciting player, but so is Mike Green, and maybe at a more valuable position than tight end here at 14. I do think Mike Green could go a little bit higher than this. Maybe he does go at a 13 or even 11 to the Niners, but he'll probably end up in this like 14 to 25 range if I had to guess. A really athletic guy. Obviously, he was the FBS sack leader there at Marshall this year with 17 sacks. And yeah, if you watched or paid attention at all to the Senior Bowl this past week, he absolutely demolished Oregon offensive tackle Josh Connerly, who also could very well end up in the first round of this draft. But Mike Green here at 14 to the Colts. As we move to 15, and the Atlanta Falcons, they also need pass rush. And that's where we're going to go. Another Senior Bowl guy, another guy that left after 2 days, I believe, in Shamar Stewart. I wish he would have played in the game or at least done all 3 days of the practice sessions, but is what it is. You can't really help that. If they feel like they went there and accomplished what they wanted to accomplish, then why take the chance of possibly getting injured? Go to your, pro day, draft prep, combine prep, and whatever you got to do. But Shamar Stewart is a guy that the production is not there at all. I mean, PFF has him at 6 total sacks the past 3 years. And we're talking about this guy in the first round. But why is that? Because he's 6 foot. I think they listed him at 6'5", 281 at the Senior Bowl. Huge. Super lengthy as well. His arms tested out at like 34 inches, I think. I think that's what they measured out as. He's got power. He's got speed. He can play all over the defensive line, and you saw that at A&M. He played inside. He played on the outside. I mean, you can see it here. Outside the tackle, 371. over 117. He played in the B gap. He played in the A gap. He played at off-ball linebacker, for God's sake. I mean, the dude is he's an athletic freak, and that's someone that the Falcons need. And maybe Raheem Morris can kind of polish up into a really good pass rusher. So we'll see. Pick 16, Arizona Cardinals. Kind of wish that those two guys didn't go, but there's still another SEC guy that I really like, who I think is going to be an edge rusher at the next level. And I think Jonathan Gannon, especially with his resume coming from the Eagles and what they have done, Jalen Walker out of Georgia, another Georgia guy to another Eagles, I guess, tree of coaches, and he is just a freak. Again, with a long list of these guys, just an athletic freak. He was more productive than his teammate in Mykel Williams. He is a phenomenal pass rusher. He can play the off-ball linebacker position, but I truly believe he is best fit on the edge. And yeah, there's going to be some concern with his size at 6'2". We'll see what his arms measure out at the combine, but his athletic testing is going to be off the charts. He's got good size. Maybe he bulks up to like 250 to take care of some of this, because at 245, I think they're kind of scared. But Micah Parsons plays at 245, and I'm not saying that this dude is the next Micah Parsons. But Jalen Walker, I think, should be playing on the edge, and this is someone that the Cardinals really need. They need to shore up their pass rush, and I think Jalen Walker can do so. Pick number 17 for the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to probably lose a guy like B.J. Hill. So why not go grab the number 1 overall high school prospect in his class, Walter Nolan, who finally put the talent together and turned it into some production at Ole Miss this season. 6 sacks from the interior defensive position. Really, really good run defender, and had a really good year as a pass rusher, like I was saying. You need someone to help out Trey Hendrickson, if you can even bring him back, that is. So Walter Nolan, is going to help out that defense in the run game and in the pass game. And if you can get the most out of him, he might not be wrong when he said he wants to be the next Aaron Donald. He's going to have to put that work in, but he's got the talent to be maybe not an Aaron Donald type player, but definitely an all-pro type of talent. Pick number 18, Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to go Kelvin Banks here. It's just, I love Abe Lucas, former WSU player, go Cougs. He has been injured. I think he can also kick into guard. Either one of these guys, actually, Banks or Lucas, could kick into guard. But you got to have some tackle depth in this league if you want to be good. At any point, one of your guys can go down, and if you don't have, someone to really help out that offensive line when someone goes down, you're at a major disadvantage in this league, because teams are going to start teeing off. They're going to notice that your tackle play has fallen off, and Kelvin Banks, I think, could come in and be a better player than Abe Lucas has been, but he could also come in and be an all-pro guard if that's where you see him fit. Now, of course, John Schneider has said that the guard position is the least valuable position in the NFL, so not exactly what you want to hear when you're a Seahawks fan, because that interior offensive line was a serious issue this past year in the run game and the pass. They got exposed at will. So Kelvin Banks is going to come in and help just the overall depth of the Seahawks O-line and give them a little boost of talent. Pick number 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is kind of just, I thought was a really good fit. I'm going to go Jahad Campbell here. I know Nick Emanwari has been kind of a fun spot here, but I think with Levante David getting older, Todd Bowles is really going to like a guy like Jahad Campbell. I mean, an absolute flyer. 6'3", 245. He's got the size of like a 90s and athletic ability of a modern day linebacker. I mean, he moves so fast. A just demon in the middle of the field for Alabama this year. One of the reasons why that young defense actually did so well was because of Jahad Campbell. He really was so good in the middle of the field. Like, there's really not much more to say about him. He's just another guy that I'm going to say is an athletic freak for his position and size. It seems like we're just a personal favorite, but someone I do think Todd Bowles and the Bucs staff will fall in love with. I think Sean Payton would love a guy like this, former quarterback. He had one of these guys, a.k.a. Taysom Hill, in New Orleans before he left the Saints organization. But Tyler Warren, I think, is even more he's a better receiver than Taysom Hill. Maybe not be a better quarterback, but Tyler Warren is a guy that defenses have to game plan for, and you can game plan with. He was the focal point of the Penn State offense. He has great hands. He has really good athletic ability. He can separate really, really easy, especially when he's got those mismatches with safeties and linebackers. A linebacker on this guy, you're basically just asking for a death wish. I mean, he will expose you if you put a linebacker on him. Play in and play out. And I think Sean Payton will love this. I mean, he's been mocked here a lot for some other people as well. Tyler Warren here at 20 to the Broncos. Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going with a guy that I love, Luther Burden III. He's actually, like I said, this first round is going to be more of what I think will happen. And I've seen Burden kind of down boards a little bit more. I've seen a lot of Emeka Egbuka here. But for Burden, I mean, we all know, slot fade king down there at Missouri. Yes, he had a down year, but this year there was inconsistent quarterback play. Brady Cook, the starting QB who had a really good 2023 season, was injured for the most part of it. And he played through injury, but like he just wasn't the same as he was. But Luther Burden is a rack merchant as well. The run after the catch ability and yards after the catch, I should say yak merchant instead of rack. I think rack is actually run after contact. But, I mean, he's got that too to his game. You can get this guy on screens, and he'll take them 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 yards, touchdown. I don't think he has the best overall speed, but his short area quickness and ability to separate himself from DBs is lethal and will translate to the next level. I think Luther Burden is a phenomenal player out of Missouri and someone that the Steelers, I think, need on offense. They need another guy across from George Pickens, and I think Luther Burden isn't someone that should be just solely in the slot. I think he can play on the outside. It probably won't happen a lot, but I think he can do it. Pick number 22. You're probably thinking to yourself, hey, this is going to be Colston Loveland. And it probably will be, but I'm actually going to go Emeka Egbuka. I think he has just as good of a chance to go here. You could have also gone edge or interior defensive line with a guy like Jack Sawyer, Kenneth Grant, Tyleik Williams. But I did go Emeka Egbuka. They need more chain movers, like, badly. And Emeka Egbuka will help out that offense dearly. And he's also a really good run blocker. That's why I went with him. He can play on the outside. You can leave Ladd McConkey in the slot, even though McConkey can play on the outside as well. You can kind of intertwine those guys from slot to outside. Just another chain mover, but can also stretch the field. We saw in the Oregon game, the Rose Bowl, Emeka Egbuka took the top off that defense. He has the speed to do that. It's not always showcased within that Ohio State offense or even throughout his career. He is more of the chain mover guy, like I've said. So Emeka Egbuka there at 22 for the Chargers. 23, Green Bay Packers. This was a pretty easy pick for me once I got here. I do think they're going to end up going DB or edge in the first round, and Jahdae Barron is a phenomenal player. They're probably going to part ways with Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, their former first-round pick out of Georgia. just hasn't really been there. He's been injured. He's been inconsistent. Jahdae Barron, whether you play him at safety next to Xavier McKinney, whether you play him at the nickel spot, slot corner, he is going to be a difference maker on that Packers defense. You can move him all around the field, all around that secondary, and he will make plays. He's got ball skills. He is just such a good cover corner. And yes, 5'11" is a little bit of concern, but like I said, you can play him in the slot, that nickel role, and he could be just so effective there. I mean, we've seen what Brian Branch out of Alabama can do with the Lions, playing in that nickel role. He is a special, special player, and so is Jahdae Barron here at 23 of the Packers. Just get more talent in that secondary. At 24, this is where Kenneth Grant's slide will finally end. I think the Vikings I like their edges, Dallas Turner and Jonathan Grenard. Get someone in the middle of that defense who's a little bit younger than a guy like Jordan Phillips and can really push the pocket as well on passing downs. But Kenneth Grant, really athletic. I could definitely see him being a top 20 player when it's all said and done. Slides here to 24. It's just another really good Michigan defensive lineman there to Minnesota. Houston Texans. I have them going another big-time riser recently, Tyler Booker. They need to help C.J. Stroud out, especially on the interior of that offensive line. Booker is a really good pass protector, but I think could even be a better run blocker in the right scheme. I don't know if he'll be the best puller in the NFL. He's a little bit slow, but like zone running, when he gets his hands on guys, they're either falling to the ground and he's pancaking them, or they're just getting completely stonewalled. And I think the Texans could really benefit using a guy like Tyler Booker. And another thing on the Texans, I really don't understand why Bobby Slowick got fired, but hey, I'm not the head coach, I'm not the GM, and there's a reason for that. But I do think Tyler Booker will help out that offense and help out C.J. Stroud, give him a few extra milliseconds in the pocket, which could be a big, big difference. Pick number 26. Another guy's fall will finally end in Malachi Starks. I think the Rams figure, how is this guy even here at 26? I think Malachi Starks as well is a top 10 player. And if he didn't have the season he had this year, he probably would have been a blue chip talent. And another guy that I'm going to kind of compare to a Brian Branch. Starks is super athletic. They have played him on the boundary. They have played him at deep safety, box safety, nickel corner. Malachi Starks is an unbelievable player that is going to fall because of his 2024 film. But you get him in the right system, playing just instinctively like he did in 2023. Malachi Starks could be a perennial all-pro safety or nickel corner, whatever he ends up playing, because he is just that good. He is that athletic, that talented. And yes, this year was a little bit disappointing, but you look at the potential that this kid has in that 2023 film, he was so good. I mean, look at this. 400 snaps in deep, 215 in the box, 10 at outside corner, 271 in the slot, 10 at D-line. I mean, they were blitzing this guy off the edge. 6'1", 205, I think could be just as special of a player as a guy like Brian Branch. And that's saying a lot because I thought Brian Branch was a top 15 player in his class as well. Pick number 27. Baltimore Ravens go with a corner here for me in Florida State's Azareye'h Thomas. A 6'2", lengthy and fluid corner. I've been really talking this guy up on Twitter. Again, go follow me. The link will be in the description. Azareye'h Thomas, his hips are just so fluid for a guy that is 6'2". He moves so well and so smoothly in man coverage. And they kind of got another guy like this in Nate Wiggins last year. And I think this would just shore up their boundary. You got Marlon Humphrey in the slot, and if you get another 6'2", and this guy's, 200 pounds, a little bit bigger, well, a lot of bit bigger, actually, weight-wise, than Nate Wiggins, can really match up against those more physical receivers a la T. Higgins if he stays in the North. So Azariah Thomas at 27, I think is just a good fit and could really be a good player there for the Ravens. Pick number 28, we're going with another Senior Bowl guy, and it is going to be North Dakota State's Gray Zabel. Obviously, like it says, the Lions need interior offensive linemen, and Gray Zabel at the Senior Bowl played I think his first snaps ever at guard and center especially, and he looked so damn good. He did play a little guard in 2023 for the Bison, but full-time against really the best of the best, Gray Zabel was shutting people down, and if he did lose, it wasn't like dominant from the defensive lineman. He was holding his own against everyone, and I think another one of these North Dakota State guys that had a really good Senior Bowl, a Cody Mock, Dylan Raduns, that is going to shoot up boards after the Senior Bowl, and I do think could be in this back end of the first round, and that's where I have him, obviously, to the Lions as they kind of plan for the future at that interior position. Pick number 29, Washington Commanders. This one I kind of pondered a little bit. I wanted to go tackle. I thought about Josh Connerly here. Maybe you could even consider Donovan Jackson, but I don't know if he sticks at tackle in the NFL. I actually went with yet another Senior Bowl guy, and a guy that has just been a model of consistency at Boston College, Donovan Ezaraku. Obviously out of Boston College, the edge rusher, had 16 sacks this year, or 14. I thought he had 16. PFF, though, doesn't count half sacks, so he might have had 16. I'm pretty sure he did, but still, 14. He just wins off the edge at a consistent rate. And yes, he's only 6'2", 250. But the kicker to that is those Senior Bowl measurements, he had 34-inch arms. So he will be just fine at the NFL level, and I think is worthy of a first-round draft pick, and I think could be kind of their future in Maryland. And Dan Quinn, I think, would really like this guy coming off the edge. Just someone who really plays aggressive off the edge, but can also play the run relatively well, which is something that they needed badly at the end of the season. We saw that with Saquon Barkley running all over them. Not once, not twice, but 3 times during this season, actually. But, when you get 55 points scored on you and you can't stop the run in the NFC Championship game, you're going to look to that front 7 and be like, where can we improve? And I think Ezraku could be that improvement. Pick number 30 here for the Buffalo Bills, and I'm going to go with Texas wide receiver Matthew Golden. He can stretch the field. He can move the chains. He is a crisp route runner. He's got really good hands. I don't think he had a drop this year, if I'm not mistaken. I guess he had 4. It didn't feel like he had a lot, though. And another thing with him is when they needed a big play, it was always Matthew Golden. That is where Quinn Ewers looked to every single time they needed a play late in a game, and he made it every single time. It was very, very impressive to watch. You think of the Arizona State game. He came up huge multiple times in both Georgia games, but obviously they didn't win those, but he did come up with some big plays. I think the Bills really need a guy on the outside. I don't think they're going to keep Amari Cooper past this year. Get a guy that can stretch the field, kind of push the defense back a little bit more, maybe open things up a little more for a Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir definitely underneath. And I think that would be very beneficial for that offense up in Buffalo. Pick 31 is going to probably be an unpopular one because I know Howie Roseman doesn't pick corners in the first round, but he did last year, and I think he's going to do it again. Nick Emanwari out of South Carolina, the 6'3", like 215 pounds, I think. Sorry, not even that. That's small. 230 pounds. Can play in the box and be uber aggressive for you. And I just believe that there's no way Reed Blankenship, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, or Sidney Brown is going to stop you from taking a talent like this. And they could use someone like this, whether that be in the box or on the back end of their defense. Nick Emanwari, I think, could also go higher than this at 31. But I think he had to go somewhere here in the first round. And at 31, the Eagles just go, well, this is probably best player available, to be honest. So let's go and get him. And that kind of sucks as a Giants fan, but it's just the truth. Pick number 32, Kansas City Chiefs. I went with Oregon offensive tackle Josh Conerly. Jawan Taylor sucks. I don't know how he also keeps getting away with false starts or the illegal formation. I swear that dude lines up like 5 yards behind the center and they don't call it. But that's what he needs to even be competitive in this league. He is a bad tackle. I mean, they kicked out, I can't think of his name, former Patriots offensive lineman, but yeah, the name's not coming to me. But they kicked him out from, I think, center to play tackle, and he looked better than Jawan Taylor. So they need some talent. They need some depth. I still like Kingsley Suamataia that they drafted last year, but we knew was going to be more of a developmental player. Maybe he ends up going into guard with Trey Smith possibly leaving in the offseason. So again, tackle is a position of need. Josh Conerly was pretty damn good player for the Oregon Ducks this year and was a big reason why that offense just ran so smoothly with Dylan Gabriel and Jordan James back there in the backfield. But on to round number 2, where we get to some guys that I want to highlight, but we are going to start with a guy that I think probably will end up in the first round in Derek Harmon out of Oregon. So we go back-to-back Oregon players here. Browns have Michael Hall, who went down with a season-ending injury this year, and Dalvin Tomlinson, who's not really a pass rusher, just more of a run stuffer. Well, Derek Harmon is the best of both worlds. He can get after the passer, but he can also play the run pretty well. And we saw that at Oregon all season long. He had a phenomenal game against Penn State, if I remember correctly, and also Ohio State the first time when they were at home in Eugene, Oregon. Derek Harmon, best player available, really, in my opinion, at this point. Maybe you could argue Colston Loveland, but they have David Njoku there already. So, best player available at, I would consider, a position of need. There's not really a tackle or a guard that I want to play or put there for the Browns. So Derek Harmon it is at 33 to go next to Abdul Carter. That is terrifying if you're opposing offensive lines. Pick 34. This is where things are going to get a little controversial. My New York Giants are going to take quarterback out of Alabama, Jalen Milroe. And I know what people are going to say. Oh my God, did you see the Senior Bowl? He can't throw. He throws it at the ground. He's skipping balls off the dirt to receivers 15, 20 yards down the field. Yes, and yes. I saw it all. But to also play to that, what they were doing at the Senior Bowl, and yes, I know it was practice, just doesn't fit what Milroe and Alabama did this season. I think if you play to Milroe's strength, his athletic ability, which I have said on multiple occasions, this guy, when he is on the field, is undoubtedly the most athletic player on the field. He is, at all times, when he is in the backfield, the biggest threat to the defense, without a doubt. His legs are unbelievable, and I think if you shore up a couple of his mechanics, he's got the arm talent to make every single throw. We all know that. So instead of taking this guy like an Anthony Richardson at pick 4, you take him in the second round, at the top of the second round, and maybe Brian Dable. You can get a veteran quarterback to come in here, can sit for a year, or even 9, 10 games, and then maybe Jalen Milroe comes in and gives some life, and maybe to even Brian Daboll's stay at the Giants as well. I just think his floor with his legs are what make him so special. And if the Giants in this scenario can play to Jalen Milroe's strengths, he is going to be a problem in the NFL for every single defense. I'm not saying we're going to think of him like a Lamar Jackson, but his athletic ability is on that same level. He just needs to figure out his mechanics, his footwork. Yes, it is pretty bad at times, but I think you can work on that. And then the processing just comes with experience. No quarterback is going to come out of college and be the greatest processor in the NFL. NFL defenses are just different. They're more complex. You just have to figure it out by playing, and he will do that. You can throw in a more college type of offense, get quick hitters. He played the RPO game pretty well, and then you run the read option as well with him, and it's, just night and day with what the Giants in this scenario, their offensive run game could be with Jalen Milroe and then Tyrone Tracy as well. Pick number 35, we've got the Tennessee Titans, and here comes another one. Senior Bowl participant Princely Umanmielen is going to stay in that southern region from Ole Miss. He formerly was of the Florida Gators, transferred to Ole Miss, and probably had his best season. But here's another freak off the edge. At 6'4", he's got super lengthy arms. Another guy, 22.8 pass rush win rate. He is a beast off the edge, and the Titans need some guys like that. Yes, I could have gone offensive line here to help Cam Ward, but I think, do we really think that Ward can pull that off not Ward, but do we really think there's an offensive tackle here or even a offensive lineman, maybe a Milam, Marcus Bowe, Jonah Savanaia, Trapilo, Milam. I don't know. I don't know if there's a guy there that really speaks to me like, hey, draft this dude over Princely Umanmielen or even one of these other edge rushers where the Titans could really get better at. Because really it's just Jeffrey Simmons and a little bit of, Harold Landry out there. Arden Key is a fine player. I think they still have him over there. But I don't know. I really like Princely Umanmielen. Another guy I think could fit into that back end of the first round, somewhere in here, maybe to the Washington Commanders, maybe to the Lions. We will see, though, as this draft process continues. Pick number 36. This is another one of those guys that you just got to take a chance on. Savone Revel out of East Carolina. Super, super athletic player. Really unfortunate that he got injured in practice towards ACL. Another guy, though, that has been said to be ready by week 1 of his rookie year. So I'm going to bank on that, and I'm going to bank on his talent and film that he put out in 2023 and 2022 because he is a special player. He is really good in man coverage. He is sticky. He's lengthy. I'm pretty sure he's about 6'3", 190 to 200 pounds. Can run with the best of them. He's got everything you want in a cornerback 1 in the NFL, and he somehow falls here to 36. Well, that's because of injury. Pick number 37 is going to be another guy, another boundary corner that fell because of injury and a little bit of an inconsistent play, but that hip injury really didn't help him at all. He wasn't having a great season, though, by any means compared to his 2023 tape, but Benjamin Morrison is definitely still a top 50 player, in my opinion, and the Raiders and Pete Carroll might fall in love with a guy of his size and ability on the boundary. Pick number 38. Well, you got Drake May, a nice little pass catcher, and how about you get him a nice little pass protector? And by little, well, I just mean, get him some talent at both those positions in front of him, because this guy nor Tedero and McMillan are small by any means. But Marcus Bowe, really, really good player. Does he slide into guard or tackle? I don't know. It's sounding more like guard right now, but we will see. Patriots just need talent on that offensive line to help out Drake May, and Bowe will do that. Pick number 39. Ben Johnson is going to get his running back of the future. Just like the Lions did, we are going to go Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. He might honestly be my favorite running back in this class, outside of Ashton Jeanty, of course. Omarion Hampton is phenomenal. He has great size as well. I think he's like 6'1". Yeah, 6'1", 220. So great size. He has really good contact balance, and he can also hit the home run shots. You give him an ounce of daylight, and he is gone for 70 yards. He was the entirety of North Carolina's offense last year. He was one of the only reasons Drake May wasn't completely murdered behind that North Carolina offensive line, to be honest. Defenses had to respect Hampton. He's had, 1,300 plus yards the last 2 seasons? 1,500, sorry. My bad. 1,500 yards plus the last 2 seasons for this guy. Just an unbelievable back, and I think someone Ben Johnson will fall in love with during this draft process. At pick number 40, I'm just going to get probably the best player available at this point for the Saints, and Colson Loveland. They need help on the offensive line, and I mean, yeah, we went Will Campbell as well in the first. Could this be a wide receiver? Yes, but I don't really like anyone as much as I like Colston Loveland here at this spot for the Saints and that offense. Pick number 41, Bears are back up, and I think you need to help out that run defense and pass rush as well. So we're going to go Jack Sawyer. Not a super athletic guy by any means, but he's going to be just day one a locker room leader. My God, if I could speak, for the Bears, and just someone that can be consistent off the edge. He can play the run well. He can get after the passer. The Bears need that across from Montez Sweat. Pick number 42, New York Jets are going to go South Carolina defensive tackle TJ Sanders to go next to Quinnen Williams. That is pretty scary for the future. And they have the edge players. Maybe just beef up that D-line a little bit more. You took Will Johnson to shore up the secondary, and now you're taking TJ Sanders to shore up your front four in a big, big way. San Francisco 49ers at 43. I went with another guy that's been kind of a high riser recently. Was first talked about by Daniel Jeremiah going into the Senior Bowl, and it's Florida State's Joshua Farmer. So the Niners go trenches with their first 2 picks, which is what I expect them to do, whether that be defensive line first and offensive tackle second, or offensive tackle or offensive line first and defensive line second, which is what we did here. But Joshua Farmer has a ton of strength. I mean, it really flashed this week at the Senior Bowl down in Mobile. It was, sometimes a slow death, yes, for the offensive lineman, but he won damn near every 1v1 rep, whether it was a slow death or a dominant win. Joshua Farmer proved what he could be. He definitely does have potential, but he's just got to put it all together. The production wasn't quite there this year at Florida State, but with Robert Saleh back at DC for the 49ers, I think Joshua Farmer could be a very special player for that defense. 44, Dallas Cowboys. Didn't really know where to go here for a second until I remembered that DeMarcus Lawrence, who knows what his situation is going to be. So we're going to go Landon Jackson here, the edge out of Arkansas. A guy who came in, we were thinking maybe 6'7", like 280 pounds. Came in at 6'5", but still super lengthy. Plays the run especially well, which was obviously a very glaring flaw of the Cowboys' defense this past year. So I think Landon Jackson on the edge could really shore that up. And then when he gets there, you can develop his pass rush game, which is definitely still in the process of development there for Landon Jackson. Pick number 45. We're going to stay with Chris Ballard. His theme of drafting guys that are super athletic. We're going to go Miami tight end Elijah Arroyo, who had a phenomenal week down in Mobile and seriously shot up draft boards. Like, he might have been the biggest winner. I know Daniel Jeremiah had him in his top 50, his original top 50, but I think Elijah Arroyo is going to start being in a lot of people's top 50 after this past week. He is a special talent at the tight end position. 46, Atlanta Falcons. I went with Kentucky corner Maxwell Hairston. I think a guy that could probably jump up to the back end of the first round. We'll see, obviously, in April where he lands. But I think he's got really good athletic ability. He's a good man cover corner. The Falcons need someone across from A.J. Terrell, and we got them some pass rush. Maybe Maxwell Hairston can help secure that back end of the defense. 47, Arizona Cardinals. We went with, Jalen Walker, that's right, in the first. And here, we're going to get Kyler Murray some help. Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia is a player I really like. I know he didn't have the best week down in Mobile. He got beat, you could say, quite a few times, but he also held his own. He's probably going to be a guard at the next level, but I think the Cardinals need some offensive line help and definitely some depth in front of Kyler Murray. I don't know if DJ Humphries is on the verge of retiring with his injuries over the course of his career, along with his contract situation. We will see what happens with that. And you've got Paris Johnson across from him right now, who's been pretty good for you. Maybe Wyatt Milam does end up playing tackle, at least for his rookie year, but I do think he'd be a day one starter at guard. 48, the Miami Dolphins get Tyleik Williams to try and shore up the middle of their front four after they let Christian Wilkins walk. He ended up going to the Raiders last season in the offseason. So Tyleik Williams, I'm not going to say is a replacement for a guy of Christian Wilkins' stature, but Williams had a really good CFP run with the Buckeyes, and he's obviously really, really talented. He was a starter the past, 2 years for the Buckeyes defense, so really, really good player. Showed the ability to pass rush, but is mainly right now probably a better run stuffer than he is pass rusher, but can definitely work on that with his length and talent that he has. Cincinnati Bengals at pick number 49. We went with Nick Scorton. His fall finally stops here at 49. He ends up in the top 50. The Texas A&M pass rusher, I think, is going to come in and be probably a day one starter. He just doesn't have maybe the athletic ability or consistency of some of these other guys that went ahead of him, but had 2 really good years. Had 8 sacks at Purdue, and then I think he had 10 actually at Purdue, and then transferred. Again, I hate that PFF doesn't, do the half sack thing because everyone else does, but whatever. 17.3 pass rush win rate is still really, really good. Can play the run really well. Has really good size too. You can move him around. 6'4", 285. Really, really strength-based player. He's got a lot of muscle and can go right through your chest. So Nick Scorton there at 49 to the Bengals. Pick number 50. We are going to continue the theme of the offensive line in front of Geno Smith. Donovan Jackson here out of Ohio State, I think, plays guard at the next level. I don't think he's going to stick out at tackle. I think he was a better guard. Yes, he was serviceable at tackle, and that probably improved his draft stock a lot. But I'm not going to say he was the most effective left tackle in the world by any means. But he definitely was serviceable, and he was a big part of why Ohio State season kind of stayed on schedule after Josh Simmons went down. Pick number 51. We're going to continue to shore up this defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Ole Miss's Trey Amos, the cornerback. Super aggressive man coverage corner. Can play zone as well. I think Todd Bowles is going to fall in love with him. I just like the fit. So you get two SEC defenders in Jahad Campbell and Trey Amos, two aggressive SEC defenders, I should say, for that Todd Bowles defense that likes to be very, very aggressive. Pick number 52, the Denver Broncos. This one, a little bit interesting, but I am going to start getting these running backs off the board because they have fallen a little bit. But Quinshon Judkins is going to go here to Denver. I love Judkins. He is my running back 3 behind Hampton and Genty, and he slots in here at 52. Unfortunately, Javonte Williams, who started his career off so well, injuries have piled up, and I think they could replace a lot of those guys in that running back room and get a more talented guy in Judkins. Pick number 53. This was also an interesting one. Another Ohio State guy. Not a running back, not a receiver, not an offensive lineman, but Lathan Ransom. He had a phenomenal college football playoff run as well, and maybe was the best defensive, secondary player for the Ohio State defense. And that's saying a lot because they have Caleb Downs on the back end. But Lathan Ransom, especially in the red zone, was an absolute difference maker in Ohio State winning some of those games. You think of the Texas game, what that came down to. Obviously, Jack Sawyer was the one that made the big play. But Lathan Ransom made some plays in the red zone as well that ended up forcing that Jack Sawyer strip sack and scoop and score. So, Ransom, I really like. Yes, injuries are going to be a big part of his draft stock, but he goes here at 53, an aggressive box safety that can play next to Minkah Fitzpatrick. I really like for Mike Tomlin. 54, another running back is going to come off the board here, and it's going to be Caleb Johnson. People might be like, hey, what about Cam Skattebo? Well, Caleb Johnson not only, I think, is better than Cam Skattebo, and yes, I love Cam Skattebo, but Caleb Johnson is super, super athletic. If this loads, I don't know what's been going on here with the PFF website, but it's been a little bit slow recently. But Caleb Johnson stands at about 6'1", 6 foot, like 20, or not 20. It's like 220. Yeah, 225. 6 foot, 225. Super athletic as well for his size, and has home run speed. We saw I'm trying to think. I think it was against Nebraska, that screenplay that he had where he broke 5-6 tackles, took it 65 yards, maybe one of the best plays of the entire 2025 college football season, which is saying a lot. Caleb Johnson is a special player, and they finally get their bell cow back in Los Angeles. Green Bay Packers, we went Jahdae Barron in the first, and we're going to get them some edge help across from Rashawn Gary, but they also just need some depth there. Preston Smith isn't getting any younger. We're going to go with Ole Miss's Jared Ivey. Really good run defender, but also just really good off the edge as a pass rusher. He's about 6'6", 285, lengthy. He has a lot of experience. I believe he's a 4th or 5th year senior. Again, that pass rush win rate, over 15% at 16.8. Really, really solid. Consistent as well. 8 sacks the last 2 seasons. Just is what it is at this point. He's such a good player. He's a really fun player off the edge. And, yeah, he's 23 years old, but I'm not going to worry about it because of the consistent production that he has had in the best conference in college football. Pick number 56, the Buffalo Bills are back up, and we're going to go with interior player Darius Alexander out of Toledo. I think he could probably slide up into the top 50 to be honest with you, especially after the week that he had down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, he was dominant, to say the least. And he is a massive human being, 6'4", 310, beef next to Ed Oliver, and can really push the pocket in the middle of that defense and that front line for Buffalo, a team that really likes to play nickel and stay in nickel. Well, that's a guy that's going to really help you out in those passing downs and even the running downs to stop the run. Pick number 57, honestly, the Texans are probably wishing they would have gotten Darius Alexander, but we're going to get them some beef as well. A top 50 player for Daniel Jeremiah, Alfred Collins out of Texas, 6'3", I think like 320 pounds. You want to talk about beef, this guy's going to give it to you. Really good run defender, was a difference maker on that defensive line for Texas, and you put him next to Danico Autry there in Houston, that's going to be pretty fun, especially when you've got Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter on the edges, who can really just fly around those tackles. Collins and Autry can really work up the middle and help that run defense out for DeMeco Ryans. Pick number 58 here for the Carolina Panthers. Again, another guy at the Senior Bowl that really showed his talent, but a guy that I've liked. He is a top 50 player for me. I know he's not going to be for a lot of guys, but Tez Johnson here for the Los Angeles Rams, just a really, really good player. He can separate at all levels of the field. The quick game, he can get those yards after the catch if you want to hit him on a quick bubble screen or an RPO action. He's really going to help out Bryce Young and just help get the ball out of his hands quickly and let him just do his thing behind some blockers. Tez Johnson can also stretch the field as well. So Tez Johnson there at 58 for the Panthers. 59, JT Tuimoloau is finally going to stop here for the Baltimore Ravens. Just get them some more D-line help. Not much more to say about it. He's just... The only reason he's still here is because of the inconsistency. He's got the talent for sure, but needs to be more consistent as a player. And maybe the Ravens can get that out of him. Pick number 60, another edge player going to come off the board here, and it's going to be Oregon's Jordan Burch. 6'6", like 285 as well. I mean, we've got some massive guys coming off the edge that are just athletic freaks in this class. You need someone long-term across from Aiden Hutchinson that's not Zadarius Smith. And Jordan Burch, I think, can be that. Really good pass rusher and a really good run defender as well. Commanders. I had some fun with this one. I'm not going to lie. We went with Travion Henderson. Talk about an electric backfield with him and Jaden Daniels. I'm not going to say much more than that. He gives you something that Washington just doesn't have right now in their backfield. They don't have a guy that can be that home run hitter every single time he touches the ball. Maybe even their entire offense, not named Jaden Daniels. 62, Buffalo Bills. I went with Kansas corner Kobe Bryant. They just need depth at that secondary position. This could have been, safety, a Xavier Watts, Kevin Winston, Jonas Sanker, Andrew Makuba. But I did end up going with Kobe Bryant. Obviously, rest in peace to the other Kobe Bryant. But for here, good for Kobe Bryant, corner out of Kansas. It will also help them continue to just play in that nickel defense that they like to play in, because maybe Mello Dotson is a better cover corner than Kobe Bryant, but Bryant still has the ability to be a really good cover corner while also being a much better run defender than his fellow teammate Mello Dotson. 63, I went with the Eagles theme, getting super talented tackles and offensive linemen, more specifically, that they can develop. Cameron Williams. Lane Johnson isn't going to be there forever. Cam Williams played on the right side. I think he can play on the left in the NFL, but obviously the Eagles don't need that with Jordan Mailata there on the left side. You can develop Cam Williams over the next year or so until maybe Lane Johnson hangs him up. And then you've got a really talented left tackle or right tackle for the foreseeable future yet again. Pick number 64 for the Kansas City Chiefs, last one of this mock draft, is going to be Carson Schlesinger for the Chiefs. And, I mean, is more of just the simple fact that Nick Bolton is probably not coming back as we submit our draft here. Schlesinger, a guy that is also moving up boards as well, that I wanted to highlight. I almost went with Jeffrey Bossa, who I really liked at the Senior Bowl, and I think is maybe a better athlete overall with better size, but I just know a lot of people really like Schlesinger in the draft community, me included. But went with Schlesinger there. Maybe a guy that Spags just really likes. So that is the full mock draft there for you. 2 rounds, a lot longer than I thought this was going to be. We're almost an hour and 15 minutes into this thing. So if you stuck around, I appreciate you watching. Tell me what you think down in the comment section below. Here is the first round again if you forgot it. But that is all for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, take it easy and peace.